New reaction today to Governor Mitt Romney's speech to the NAACP convention. Mr. Romney getting cheers and jeers as he made a major pitch to one of the president's most loyal constituencies yesterday. While speaking to the traditionally Democratic voting bloc, Governor Romney stuck to his campaign promise to repeal the president's health care law, which was one of the moments that did not go over so well with the crowd.
If our goal is jobs, we have to stop spending over $10 more than we take in every year. And so to do that, I'm going to eliminate every non-essential, expensive program I can find. That includes Obamacare, and I'm going to work to reform and save.
Well, Romney later came on Fox News and told our own Neil Cavuto that his message has not and will not change.
Oh, I think we expected that, of course. But, you know, I'm going to give the same message to the NAACP that I give across the country, which is that Obamacare is killing jobs. And if jobs is the priority, then we're going to have to replace Obamacare with something that actually holds down health care costs, as opposed to causing more spending for the government and more spending for American families.
So, was this a calculated move, and could this be good for Mitt Romney? Joining me now, Simon Rosenberg, president and founder of the think tank NDN. He's also a former Clinton campaign advisor. And Mark Thiessen, who's a fellow at the American Enterprise Institute and a former speechwriter for President George W. Bush. Hi, guys. Welcome back. Okay, so the theory is that, well, it depends on who you ask. But some believe Mitt Romney did this intentionally. He wanted to get booed so he would look tough, like he's an honest messenger. And then you got others who are on the right saying he didn't want to get booed. And by the way, he got a standing ovation. Well, we've got evidence of both of that. Let's just start with Nancy Pelosi's theory on it.
Well, I think it was a calculated move on his part to get booed at the NAACP convention.
But then she doesn't go on to really explain why, Simon. Do you agree with her?
I don't know. Honestly, I want to give Mitt Romney some credit for reaching out to the NAACP. I don't think it was an easy event for him, and I think, as we are discussing, there were some awkward and difficult moments. Getting booed in politics is never good. There's nothing good about getting.
It is awkward, isn't it? It's awkward to watch.
Yeah, and getting booed is not good. And I think it reinforced one basic truth, which is the Republican Party has grown very distant from people of color in the United States. And the reason that matters is that people of color will be the majority in this country in a generation. And it's something that the Republicans are going to have to structurally fix if they want to be the majority party in the 21st century.
But Mark, they weren't booing. Like, it wasn't like Mitt Romney took to the lectern and they were like, boo, you Mitt Romney, Republican. They were booing, when he said things about policies they like Obamacare.
That's exactly right. He was applauded, actually, interrupted by applause 15 times and only booed a couple times. But look, I think Nancy Pelosi's comment is patently silly. The NAACP invited him. They used to criticize George W. Bush all the time for not going, and now Mitt Romney does go. They treat him terribly and boo him after inviting him into their house, and he somehow has this Machiavellian scheme to get booed. I think the speech did him a lot of good. I think it sent a message to independent voters that he is willing to reach across the aisle and engage groups who disagree with him, and that he wants to be the president of all Americans, even if they're not going to vote for him. I think he did himself a lot of good with conservatives by going in there and not watering down his message, not pandering, but delivering the same message to the NAACP that he delivers anywhere else. And I think the really interesting question is not why did Mitt Romney go to the NAACP, but why did Barack Obama not go to the NAACP? He hasn't been there since 2009. And maybe he didn't want to answer the question, why is the African-American unemployment rate 14.4%, double the national rate? Why he didn't want to explain his opposition to school choice, which is keeping African-American kids trapped in failing schools. And I bet you for sure he didn't want to explain his newfound support for gay marriage to that community, because if he had, then we'd be discussing why Barack Obama was booed instead of why Mitt Romney was.
Well, we're going to talk with an African-American preacher, Reverend, who has an issue with that a little bit later in the program, and talk to him about his thoughts on the president not showing up. But this particular segment is focused on Mitt Romney and his, was he antagonizing them, Simon? Because he comes out and says, look, I give the same speech, it doesn't matter the race of the audience. This is my speech. I'm going to repeal Obamacare. Everybody's heard him say it. Yep. So do you think there's any merit to the notion that whether he calculated it or not, it was a good thing for him to stand up, look the folks straight in the eye and say, this is what I'm going to do. I know you like it, but I don't.
I think, look, as I said earlier, I think it was a smart move for him to do this. He also spoke in front of some Latino organizations. But I think while it looks like he's attempting to bridge the gap, I don't think he actually did bridge the gap. I mean, I think the optics are good, but in the reality, I don't think he's going to gain very much with African American voters or Latinos. In many ways, his awkwardness and the booing reinforces the distance that Mitt Romney and the Republican Party has with this important part of the American community. And so I think it was a good try. I don't think he netted him very much. And I just want to say, Barack Obama spoke via video today. Joe Biden was there yesterday. The Obama team has been there in great numbers. He did speak to all the things that Mark talked about. So I think it's a little bit unfair to say he didn't show up. He spoke via video today, took questions afterwards, and so on. And so he was very visible and present at the event today.
Well, he was visible, but he wasn't really present. That's not technically accurate.
Well,
but nor was
Megan,
it's
as present as we are. It's as present as we are on television, I guess.
But I'm not like present in somebody's home right now, and nor are you.
Okay.
But nor is your point, Mark, accurate that the audience was terrible to him. As I mentioned, the guy got a standing ovation at the end, and here is a little bit of that. Listen for the organ.
Thank you so much, and God bless every one of you. Thank you. Thank you.
First of all, does anyone have any thoughts on the organ? Is there, like, why? I'm looking for, like, a casket. It sounds like sort of funeral parlor music. Although they don't really play music at funerals, do they? Anyway, I'm rambling. But Mark, why are they giving him a standing O if he's so offensive to them? Maybe they just said, hey, I don't like that point. I like Obamacare. But you know what? The guy showed up, and good for him.
Well, I think that he was interrupted by applause 15 times during the speech. And look, he addressed all the issues that, quite frankly, Joe Biden didn't address in his speech today. Joe Biden was talking about Eric Holder and suggesting Republicans wanted to take away the right to vote. Mitt Romney got interrupted by applause when he talked about his plan to help get African-American kids out of failing public schools through school choice and charter schools. He talked about how the system of free enterprise, and it was applauded then when he talked about the system of free enterprise and how free enterprise is solution for communities that are stuck in violence and despair. And so he addressed all of these issues. And Simon's right. One speech is not going to bridge the gap, but it was a good step. And he made he's not going to convince African Americans to vote against the first African American president, at least not most of them. But he sent a strong signal that he intends to be the president of all Americans, and that was worth doing.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see. There is an African American reverend, as I said, coming on later who, has got real issues with the gay marriage thing. And then some folks are talking about Romney possibly nominating or choosing Condi Rice as a vice presidential nominee. And then, that changes things potentially as well. Guys, thank you both so much.
Sure. Thanks, Megan.
I guess I was thinking more